Hi, and welcome to the Contenders Corner Podcast, where we talk everything that is wrestling. I am your host, Jason, and join me as I dissect this episode of WWE Failed. We are an unbiased show here, and we'll go into this episode with an open mind, whether it's good or whether it's bad. We aren't afraid to hit home some thunderous thoughts. If you're new to this, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and comment in the comment section below and share with us your thoughts and opinion of what wrestling means to you. Stay with us as we have a lot to discuss here. YouTube, are you ready? This is the Contender Corner Podcast, WWE Failed, Karrion Kross. Right then, guys, we're going to go into a brief format of Karrion Kross. So, Matt, start off with Karrion Kross with NXT.
Fantastic character in NXT. I think he kind of carried across his character in the TNA days, where he was kind of like the Hunt character in TNA. I kind of liked in like moving across to NXT. You know, the storyline with Adam Cole, I think was probably his best work, really. And he was just unlucky with his injuries with the time that he was there. He was NXT champion. Bit of a loss when he had that shoulder injury, really.
Go into his TNA days. Do you know anything about his TNA, Scott?
I know a little bit. There was a time when I think he was dressed up as a policeman. He attacked Petey Williams. I think he was leaving like these calling cards. He was attacking people. And he referred himself as Killer Kross, which is what he was known as.
Yeah.
At the start, I think his original name was Kevin the Cross. He became Killer Kross, and then obviously Karrion. But yeah, I remember him as this like evil, sadistic heel. Great partnership with Moose at the time. He's got into this personal feud with Eddie Edwards. There's a lot of bloodshed, and they was just really attacking each other going hell for leather. So yeah, I think he's like this evil sort of like angry heel, which is I think you don't see many like him, but he's sort of different. So I quite like his actual heel one there.
Just carry on. I'm just trying to get some brief history of him.
Yeah, so I think he was him and Moose. They were a weird partnership because you had Moose in the robes coming out in these like stylish Ric Flair style robes, and you had Kross like this angry sort of like a bit of a maniac, and that they actually works well together. It's a little bit surprising. I mean, then Johnny Impact was also involved in the story at some point. It's just a few twists and turns in it that you wouldn't really have seen coming. But yeah, he was a great heel. I thought he was definitely someone who was always destined to be in the main event picture. Except that I view it.
Do you know anything about the stuff that went down when he wanted his release from Impact?
I don't. Do you?
Very little, really.
It says here that Karrion Kross was Killer Kross in Impact Wrestling. There was a big issue with his pay, and he also got head for refusing to blade. Kross wanted out, and his release was eventually granted. Something to do with his pay and issues in Impact. I thought if you knew anything about it.
No, not really.
I knew there were a couple of issues, and there was to do with pay, really.
It was just to do with pay.
I just thought it was like creative issues backstage. I didn't know. I didn't really knew it was down to his pay.
Let's get it up. Yeah, it says here that he'd said in a podcast that this was Karrion Kross saying this. I was very angry at the time, and I was very, very, very determined to find a way to find the fulfillment that I was looking for in my life, regardless of whether or not certain people agreed with my perspective or not. I'd say that as respectfully as possible. I think he was probably angry with certain things.
Possibly.
Do you know any of his matches in Impact, Matt?
Like Scott said, all that mainly due to that storyline that Scott was saying, really. Not really that much into his TNA days, is that very little. But like, mainly his NXT days, which I got into, really. And then like a couple of matches here and there, in the indies. But, other than that very little of his TNA days.
So, what you're saying is that, Scott, that Killer Kross is basically Karrion Kross, and he just moved that character from Impact to WWE in NXT.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be small differences.
What was the problems? What were the problems that you thought with that character moving on to the likes of the main roster?
Personally, I don't see any reason why that gimmick couldn't have worked on the main roster. But as soon as Vince called up Kross, but not Scarlett, I think people knew that the writing was sort of going to be on. And I thought, because we WWE especially NXT, just seen him as a package. But then when you're calling up on his own, I mean, because ain't gonna go one way if you think about it.
And normally, things like that, Vince is very too kindly with certain, to a certain degree. Would you say that Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux wasn't given the creative that they had in NXT to move on to the main roster?
I have to say yes, because Scarlett wasn't. He only called up Karrion only. Whereas in NXT, Triple H used them as a duo, and it worked. He climbed atop the NXT mountain, and two different occasions. So yeah, and I think calling him up to the main roster whilst he was still NXT champion meant that you knew he was probably going to lose the title some point very soon, which he did. Samoa Joe. And then after only a month, 2 months in the main roster, he was out of the company. I think Vince just didn't. He either didn't know that character or like it.
Yeah, there was rumours about Scarlett was going to be that in the ring, but then there was rumours that she had this wrong with her, she had that wrong with her. Just that's why they delayed that. They had no idea how to use him on the main roster. They wanted him called up, but they had no creative direction.
But a character like that you can use on the main roster. I just...
Yeah, well, what I would have done it is obviously use, like, got the same, like the whole pack, the Scarlet, you know, it's new, it's fresh, it's dark, you know, like the new, like, darkness of profile the Undertaker was, you know, the new dark full, you know, the hourglass is a symbol. I'm there, I'm waiting, you know, his catchphrase, TikTok, you know, that's just like setting out a warning to his rivals, like, listen, you know, you might have what now, when the time comes, you know, time's up, game over. So I'm coming behind. That'd be, you know, fantastic.
And it's also brilliant to hear somebody use the words TikTok and not like a stupid video on social media.
Yeah.
But the would you say Vince is a hypocrite now? When he released Scarlet Bordeaux, he released Karrion Kross. So basically, in the light of him being a hypocrite, I mean, Edge brings out this faction known as the Judgment Day. Right. It's very dark, it's very satanic, it's ritualistic. Would you say that Vince is a hypocrite in getting rid of a character like Karrion Kross, getting rid of a character like Scarlet Bordeaux? That was very dark. So he gets rid of Edge because he wants this faction to be more darker, more satanic, more like what Matt said, an Undertaker kind of faction, which we had in the Ministry of Darkness. So would you say that Vince McMahon is sad in terms of being a hypocrite, of getting rid of a character like Karrion Kross that would have worked with this faction that they've got now? Scott.
I'm not 100% certain about hypocrite, but it does make you wonder, well, if you are going to go that route, you did actually have someone, well, a couple of people, not just Karrion Kross, there's a few rid of over the last few years, easily you fit into that faction better than Edge or Damian Priest.
Yeah.
Finn Balor has the thing, definitely work with it. Guys like Karrion Kross, Bray Wyatt, hell, even guys like Eric Rowan, struggling from the Wyatt family, could still easily have worked in the same like that. I mean, I think I can't even say it's a mistake, but he's could have had Kross in that.
Yeah.
So he could have more of his potential, but so I mean that's on him.
What's your take on that, Matt? Was he a hypocrite in getting rid of a character like Karrion Kross, which could have, you know, and Scarlet Bordeaux, which could have perfectly would have been better than someone like Scott said, Damian Priest, you know, in that faction?
When you first got brought up, you know, they were taking key elements of his, you know, his magic, his special entrance that he had in NXT, you know, took the main bits of that, and then was, you know, it was Vince McMahon's, you know, character with ideas. And then to put that stupid helmet on him, that, you know, just completely utter waste of time.
Yeah, when he came.
It just makes me blood boil. Looks like one of them bloody. I don't know bloody Viking Warriors news.
He had him come out like someone from Gladiator. Oh dear.
300.
Or 300, yeah.
Yeah, 300. Exactly.
Yeah.
What was that version of 300?
This is what I mean. This is. This is what I mean, Scott, when I say sometimes that Vince McMahon has got dementia. Like, literally, like, I don't mean to say it or whatever, but, you know, like, I'm saying it to take the mick, basically, because that's what it seems like. You know, when you get rid of a character like Bray Wyatt, who is, oh my God, he's selling merch like it's no tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, it was the main merch seller, and then suddenly you just hear this breaking news that Bray Wyatt's leaving. Bloody hell, what's going on? Why is he going? And then same thing happens with Karrion Kross. It's like same thing happens with Samoa Joe. Same thing happens with what was the other one? You know, there's loads more. You know what I mean? Like all these big names that were coming out of Triple H's Black and Gold brand going. And they would have worked.
Samoa Joe for another one.
Yeah.
Keith Lee, that's what I meant, yeah. But like, guys, I can't fathom like what's gone in the mind of his head. Like, what's going on in his head, guys? Do you know what the crack is? Or we'll start with Matt.
I don't think it's 100% all down to him, but I think it's him and his team that he's got around him, that John Laurinaitis and Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard. I don't think they haven't got a clue what's going on in wrestling anymore. Can you
go deeper into that? Can you go deeper into it? What do you mean, John Laurinaitis and the boardroom?
It's when they have like creative meetings and board meetings. I just think that for this generation of fans, superstars, it's like, yeah, you can probably get away with these ideas, in the 80s or 90s. But this is like, 2022, and yet, and you can't think of anything fresh, exciting, like the last, to say at least a year, it's just become boring as stale. There's no excitement behind it.
I agree with you.
And you wonder why that you've got to have part-timers to come back, like Frederick back down. Part-timers like Edge, you've got John Cena coming back next week. You've had Brock Lesnar, Goldberg on a 4-match run during the year. Why can't you just get stars?
Yeah.
From the academy, when he was the Black and Gold brand, build them up. Go Triple H, do a bit of scouting like they did once. He went to the Performance Centre, had a week looking at NXT, go, yeah, he's decent, and to go, and actually follow the product that should do, go, spend about a month or two, that scout the episodes, will actually be in attendance backstage, go, you know what, Hunter, because I really like this storyline that you put. I said, you know what, when I go on the main roster, I'm not going to change a thing. I'm going to go with it. And the fans have got behind the character in NXT. And if people watch NXT, it's going to be absolutely overrated on the roster. This sort of time they shouldn't have changed. When people get called up from NXT, they just shouldn't change a thing. But, that for example, when you were going to call Adam Cole, he's gone to AEW. make him a bloody manager. Well, look, it seems to me like that idea has gone to it was for the LA Knights. How idea is that? You know, that's Dupree's model. That's that. Telling me that's not like the Vince McMahon, the John Laurinaitis, the fantasy. No, I tell you, like you said, the guy's got dementia.
What you said, sorry.
It's like with this new storyline that's on SmackDown, that's Dupree's model agency. It's like you're telling me like who's come up with that idea.
So you're saying he's got dementia?
I think the guy's lost the plot. It's like you had the star in LA Knight there, you know, who's talks good on the mic, and you know, same with Karrion Kross, you know, brilliant character, didn't need to change anything, and then doesn't matter who it is anymore, get called from NXT, they will be wasted.
It's true. It's that era now, innit? It's like you got fantastic talent that is lingering around, and it was lingering around in that black and gold brand, like you said. There was a massive load of them. Why did they get rid of these people, Scott?
Budget cuts, I'm not buying it. I mean, to say the reason they're getting rid of these budget cuts doesn't make sense, because each year they're making record profits. Outside services, like streaming deals, television company deals, and stuff like that. And even the relationship with Saudi Arabia just earns them a shed load of cash.
Yeah, it does.
So to say budget cuts is incredible. I think they've probably seen that they've overinflated the rosters. They're not going to give every single one of them the amount of TV time that they should be getting. And I would rather they just come out and say, look, we're not going to use you. That's why we're getting rid of you. It's not the fact that you're not enough. It's not the fact that we need budgets and stuff like that. It's because you ain't going to get used. We'd rather focus on putting all of our efforts behind one man, and I'm afraid you're going to have to work elsewhere. It'd been so much easier had just been honest and kind of something like that. Because I really don't buy budget cuts whatsoever. I think it's nonsense.
Why are they going back to that same old like scenario where they're relying on old stars to pick up the ratings rather than producing stars? And it's like what Matt said. It's like you had all that talent lingering around, and there was oh my god, there was a lot of talent that could have easily fit well and produced more good matches with Roman Reigns, potential main event matches at the likes of Hell in a Cell, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank going forward. But all these stars that were lingering around, they're not there. It's like, what's going on? Why are we still relying on people like Brock Lesnar, Edge, these people that can only do it part-time? Scott?
Well, I think maybe he's just desperate to get the big names out there, because big names sell. I mean, a lot of people fans around the world, they probably watch it for big names. They will know more about the likes of John Cena and Brock Lesnar than they would know about, say, Mansoor or Mustafa Ali. I mean, if a lot of them that do come up, I mean, you can't seriously see them being main eventers. I mean, Ciampa, at the moment he's going around doing stuff for the Miz. I mean, when knows if they really make him the heel that makes him so good. The brilliant he was in NXT.
Is this their way of saying? Is this their way of kind of pulling the plug on Ciampa? Because he left NXT on a massive note. You know what I mean?
If things carry on the way they are, then yeah, I can see him being out the door by the end of this year.
I mean, it's a shame because, you know what I mean? He's incredible, and he's probably one of the guys that stayed in the black and gold brand for too long, and he should have been called up years ago.
Well, the counter argument to that is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa both were going around with T-shirts and stuff saying NXT for life. But as soon as Triple H sort of gets taken off because they didn't beat AEW in the ratings, just taken over, completely changed it all up, and Gargano's no longer in the company. Ciampa's now on Raw. I mean, is he happy being on Raw? Who knows? But a lot of fans, the stars there, were content and happy staying at NXT for the foreseeable. But since it's been overturned into this 2.0 art design thing, well, all nowadays is new stars.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've had to have the likes of Dolph Ziggler, Natalya, the Viking Raiders, Apollo Crews, Mandy Rose, all go back down there. I mean, is it because NXT's failing and they need stars like that, or is it because the guys going down there haven't been good enough and need a wake-up call? Who knows?
Is it punishment on the guys that failed in the old NXT? Because at the end of the day, I think the NXT that was once there, it was doing well. People were watching it, people were loving it.
Exactly. And I think because they failed to beat AEW in the ratings, the entire NXT is completely ripped up and relayed. I mean, look at the champions now. I mean, Bron Breakker, he was just sort of a security guard in that NXT. Carmelo Hayes, he only started sort of like coming to things right at the sort of as it changed over from black and gold to the colour. I mean, the Creed brothers, complete newcomers that have come in, same as Chase U, guys like Josh Briggs, Brooke Jensen. I mean, none of these guys have probably ever got a chance in the black and gold. It's just been completely relayed to people who are either ex-American football stars, ex-basketball stars, ex-gymnasts, and ex-collegiate wrestlers. That seems like it's the way you go now. They'd rather build people up who have come from a different sport background rather than scour the indies like Triple H did. He gave those indie guys a chance on national television. And that's why it was so cool. Because you had workers, experienced workers who knew how to put on a match. And nowadays you've got people who said, well, okay, you can do the splits and you look attractive. Yeah, sure, come in, I'll give you a job. People like guys like people like no offense to people like Tiffany Stratton, Nikita Lyons, Lash Legends. They're not natural wrestlers.
No, I'll get.
Lash Legends beat the basketball player.
I feel what you're saying.
Bodybuilder and stuff. So Tiffany Stratton.
Where would you say it went wrong for Karrion Kross, Matt?
Just looked like it's like he just lost his identity. Just when he went up on Raw. You know, like Scott said before. You know, when you put this is Spartan gear on, it's just you know your days are numbered. And to not have his, in kayfabe, his mind is wife in attendance with him. It just he just backfired terribly.
Is there a way forward for him to come back, would you say?
In WWE?
Yeah.
I would say no.
If Scarlett and Karrion Kross were to get back into this, where are they going, Scott?
Well, I know that he's scheduled to compete in the MLW Battle Royale, which I think is coming up soon, which is similar to a Royal Rumble, but he can beat them as well. So he is booked in for that. And I think the only way he will come back is if Triple H and Stephanie get the reins and go back to the rooms that works. Right, I have to agree with Matt. I don't think there is a way back right now.
I heard, with this rumour of Stephanie McMahon becoming CEO, I heard another rumour that Triple H is coming back into the backstage area. What are your thoughts on this, Matt? And is it just speculation? Is it just rumour?
Well, obviously, like, he took a step back from his house scare, and he had to put his health first. So, is it like, come on, guys, it's like, don't stress now. I'm back. I'm here to help HBK again. I've got my team back, but I've still got to listen to Vince. Still got to listen to Bruce, like the old days before he had to take a leave of absence. I just think he's just basically saying, like, listen, I'm back. Let's see how things go.
If Vince McMahon is leaving for good, just like John Laurinaitis, could we see people from the old NXT being slowly brought back in? Scott?
Oh, I hope so. I really, really hope so. But I think some guys will be very hard to bring back in. I mean, if you look at guys like Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly, why would they give up the position they are in to come back and work with for WWE again? I mean, Kyle O'Reilly, he just had that great win Battle Royal a couple of weeks ago on a great match with John Moxley. Adam Cole is sharing a ring with Jay White and Kazuchika Okada this weekend, plus Hangman Page. Why would he give that up for a chance to go back? I mean, right now, I think some people, there's no way you're coming back because they're loving life. I mean, and right now, I think if they give that up and went back to where they were before, I'd probably call them a mug.
As you've said that as well, another star from the Black and Gold brand is moving towards AEW this weekend, and she's fighting Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm.
That's correct.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What do you think about that, Matt?
It's going to be a very, very interesting situation. I think that will. I think that match could go either way, and I think I could see some shenanigans in it myself.
Is this a way forward for Toni Storm, you think?
I could see a swerve in that one.
Is this a way forward? You know, the grass is greener for Toni Storm?
I think she's getting treated the way that she wanted it last.
because when she left NXT, she left on a bad note, and I'm sure she said that she wouldn't be doing wrestling for a while. Is that true, Scott?
I think I heard something
like
that. So I know she's doing other stuff in her private. She's got married. She's doing her own things away from wrestling, which is fine. But if there was a choice between getting a title match on a pay-per-view and having Charlotte Flair throw a cake in your face, no, which one I'd choose.
You know, on a debut as well. She's coming into AEW on a debut, big pay-per-view, Forbidden Door, and you're up against Thunder Rosa in a title match. What a way to start AEW. You know what I mean? What a way to start that career.
Yeah, this isn't her debut match, mate.
No. Oh, sorry. When was the debut?
No. She's only lost one match, and that was against Britt Baker.
Right. So she's been... Yeah. I need to catch up then.
She was in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament.
Right. Okay. I'll have to catch up.
Come on, AEW fanboy.
I haven't been watching for a while, you know. A good 3 week, a good 4 week, give or take. I need to get back on it. No. I will catch up. So, back to Karrion Kross. If we was to see him in AEW, would it be the right place for him? And why? We'll start off with Matt.
Looking how the shows like become recently, I think yes, I think he could be the missing piece that now it seems like the Dark Order is like being pushed to one side. So I think that, you know, if you brought back the mysterious psychopathic messages that he had in the past, if he like made like a new darker version, kind of like how the Fiend was meant to be, like, you know, even more darker, more evil. I think he could be the missing piece that can eventually replace the Dark Order.
Would you have Scarlett alongside him?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
What about you, Scott?
100%.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why AEW should be hesitant on bringing him in. Firstly, well, there is that comparison that everybody will make about him being an ex-WWE guy signing for AEW, which a lot of people are mentioning, which is actually great heat in the MJF feud. And also, I think, would they actually fit him in and give him the airtime that he might require? Because the roster is getting stacked. I mean, there's a lot of talent there in AEW, a lot of talent that often gets unused. So it's a case of, I personally think maybe Impact the right way to go. I think he's had the experience of working there before. They know what sort of work he can give them. Maybe having Karrion Kross come in and try and get inside the head of someone like Josh Alexander, I think might build some great heat. So I think the Impact might be the right way to go for him.
Interesting. But if he was to go back to Impact, back to AEW, is he a guy that will be lingering around in the main roster for the AEW title or for the Impact title? Scott, we'll go with Scott first.
Well, I personally think he's he might have a better chance of tight championship success in Impact. I mean, if he does go to AEW and leader of Dark Order, then yeah, I also think that will suit him. If they can bring him back to the dark side, know him as the leader, I think that is a role that can suit him. But either way, I mean, he could do great heel work regardless of where he goes. But I think Impact, I can actually see him pushing the title picture pretty much straight away.
What about you, Matt?
I'm going to go slightly different. I know he can go into AEW, obviously with the working partnerships that we've got at the moment. But I would mind seeing him start off with, obviously he owns Ring of Honor as well now. I would mind him starting in Ring of Honor and then bring him into AEW.
Interesting.
Or maybe, maybe a bit of New Japan.
Elaborate for New Japan.
Well, like you say, obviously they've got Vivindo this weekend. They seem to be working on a business relationship with New Japan, AEW. So, could be like what Daniel Bryan wanted. A few matches here and then a few matches in New Japan. Could they say like you want to do a couple of matches for AEW, then I want you on Ring of Honor for a couple of shows, because obviously Tony Khan owns both of them, and then you might say, well, if you've got a working relationship with New Japan, can I go for New Japan for a couple of parts? And then you can bring like one of the New Japan titles back to AEW and, gives AEW, fans from other companies, and it's vice versa.
I'm going to ask this one now. If you was brought in to change things by Stephanie McMahon, if you was called up by Stephanie McMahon to come in as an interim role for creative, and she said, I want you to make the Raw brand better. I want you to change things. What would you do differently with Karrion Kross than what they did before? We'll start off with Scott.
Well, I would probably say I'll probably have him lay out quite a few of the baby faces. Build him up, get him some wins over some of the faces that was there that are not exactly main event talent, but sort of like the lower mid card. Have him destroy them, and then he gets challenged by a sort of a higher up sort of face, but something like Drew McIntyre maybe. If he hadn't feud with McIntyre, he probably would have lost that feud, but I mean, you have to build him up, get him wins. The best way to get him wins is those that are not quite anywhere near the main event level. I mean, people like Nick Mysterio could have destroyed, even Rey Mysterio could have destroyed. Get wins over the likes of those, and then he gets noticed by one of the higher level baby faces, and then he starts shooting with them. That's what I would have done.
So you would have building him up slowly, but you're making him look strong. You're making him look dominant, basically. Yeah.
Keep him looking strong. Have him win matches. I mean, his first match on the main roster, then he'd lose to Jeff Hardy in like 2 minutes. Maybe less than that. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he was obliterated.
I mean, yeah, great job there, Vince. Hey.
What about you, Matt? What would you do differently if you was called up by Stephanie McMahon to change Raw and you had Karrion Kross? What would you do differently than what they did?
I would probably make a storyline into like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Where you have like something will happen, but you've got to wait till next week to find out, and then eventually, like a month down the line, you have like a big reveal, and it's all along it was Karrion Kross. He was like dressed in black, and he had like a let's say a white, kind of like anonymous mask. He's like dressed in them kind of clothes, but then eventually takes the mask off, and it was him along. He could have like kidnappings or kind of like Retribution did it at first. Destroying things, attacking people backstage, and then you see a guy running all in black. No one knows who it is. He's breaking up the ringside area. And like, God, why is this single dude doing it? And then eventually he could bring like other people in with him. Like, God, who's this? And he likes it black. And then in the end, he could bring out his goons and say, listen, this is the plan all along. A big new psycho group.
You mentioned on the other podcast, Matt, that Nick Kahn is infiltrated WWE. I'm going to ask you both a question now, and I want both your takes on this. Would you say that he has had just the same influence as Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis on all those releases that we've seen in the past year? We'll go with Scott first.
I say absolutely yes. Absolutely. I think he's one of the guys that is in close contact with Vince most days. I actually think that Khan, I actually read, provides a list of people who they could have cut, and Vince gives the final yes. So a lot of those names that have been released due to budget cuts has actually been recommended by Nick Kahn.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Scott says there. Tony Khan to me is like, a business guy kind of things for Vince. So, if Vince wants to say, how would you, how's the company do for money? Where can we save money here? Where can we spend money to improve the product? That Scott said he's, Nick Khan's the main go-to. So it's like, if Nick Kahn says, even if he's like a main top star like Bray Wyatt, top merchandise seller, if Nick Kahn thinks they can save money by firing one of the top people in the company, then so be it.
Was that a big mistake though?
Vince is the yes man, and Vince is all about money. He says I can save $1 million by getting rid of this guy. Vince will be like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, but it's all good doing it, isn't it? It's all good doing, and you want to save money, but then it comes to that. Well, okay, we've lost all these guys now. We've lost Bray Wyatt. We've lost all these potential stars that Triple H brought in the black and gold brand. Now we've got to start again. So it brings on the question, doesn't it? Was it all just a waste of time? We'll start off with Scott.
Why are people wasting money, you mean? Waste of time?
Basically, like, you had all them stars that Triple H brought in, and there were potential stars. You had Bray Wyatt as well. Like Matt said, like, he's got rid of one of the main stars to try and save money. But then it brings on the question, like, was Triple H doing all that for 10 years? Was it just a whole waste of time?
Maybe in the long term, yeah, because he brought it in to make NXT its own identity. Because when it first created, it's basically like a reality TV show where you had guys like Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, all those guys doing things like fitness tests and stuff like that with their mentors. It was Triple H's vision that turned it into its own brand, or its own right, where he brought players to the independent scene and developed them. I wouldn't say it's sort of like a waste of time, but in doing this is like sticking two fingers up to the work the Hunter did. Just because this fresh new product came in, of course it's going to get viewers.
Yeah,
they're against them, and they beat them in numbers, and because of that, Hunter got punished. Sad, but that's the reality of the world we live in.
I've got a question for Matt here.
Yeah.
Just like what I asked Scott, just adding on to that. Are we seeing?
I'm gonna head off because I've got stuff to do. But anyway, I'll catch up with you.
That's perfectly fine, mate. Yeah, I'll catch up with you again, mate. Thanks for joining, Scott. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother. Same. Thank you. Are we seeing the aftermath of Vince McMahon, Nick Kahn, and John Laurinaitis killing the NXT Gold brand? Like, as you said earlier, that Raw is stale. It's boring. SmackDown is getting like that as well, just lately. Are we seeing the aftermath of them getting rid of all those potential stars that could have fit in well in SmackDown and Raw?
I think he's trying to get a bit desperate in this new version of NXT when he's bringing like main roster stars that maybe like lower mid card or have not been used in the last couple of weeks. Like say you've had Natalia go on there, you've had Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler, you've now got Apollo Crews on there with his sidekick. It's like, if you're meant to be like building upcoming stars, like Scott said earlier, the American footballers, the gymnasts, it's maybe like their new version of NXT, but then you're going against what your new vision is to bring main roster talent into NXT. It's like he has no way of knowing what to do in NXT. Now he's said to Triple H like, you've got to listen to me because I'm taking over. Where he just sort of left well alone.
Yeah.
Triple H knew what he was doing. Road Dogg, Shawn Michaels. Triple H had his great, fantastic team working behind the scenes of NXT. Just for Vince to rip half of it apart with this brand new team of his. Say, your creative ideas, you've got to get signed off by Bruce. Well, look at the storylines that they've got on there now. It's just totally the same as what we got on Raw and SmackDown. No excitement anymore. It's becoming boring, and technically, I haven't really. The only NXT I watch on there now is the pay-per-views. Slowly lost me love for NXT due to Vince McMahon.
It's a shame, yeah. It really is. And is this karma, would you say?
Karma in what way?
Well, they were doing everything right. They had all the stars there to potentially springboard over to Raw and SmackDown. Vince McMahon checks the algorithms of NXT for 1 month, goes to Triple H, gets rid of him. Just like what you said, gets rid of everybody. Down to the wrestlers, down to the people in the back, creative as well. Strips NXT of its black and gold, replaces it with something totally that looks childish. Would you say it's karma for trying to go anew, change things that were working? Is this karma now? Because obviously, look at Raw now. It's like what you said. NXT feels very stale. It's starting to get boring. Raw and SmackDown have that same vibe as well. Is this karma to what Vince McMahon did on Triple H?
Obviously, with this investigation it's going on, and it backfires, then yeah, you probably could say, well, yeah, it says you're right, yeah, it is karma. But, then again, you just, I think until anything gets sorted with this investigation, you can't really judge if it will turn out to be karma or not, really.
Are we going to see people like from the old black and gold brand, like stars like Dakota Kai? Are we going to see those potential great stars that could have turned Raw and SmackDown into something exciting? Are we going to see more stars like Tony Storm move over to AEW that were in the black and gold brand?
They used to be in the black and gold brand.
Yeah.
Well, potentially, you might see one on Sunday.
Because are you seeing that now? Are you seeing, like, yeah, you've got, like, when MJF made that pipe bomb. Here's a question for you. When MJF made that pipe bomb, and he said, AEW is looking more like ex-WWE. Or what does it look like to you? Is it starting to look like WWE, or is it starting to look like the black and gold brand of NXT? Because that's what I'm getting the feeling of.
Yes and no. Because now it's like, you've got a small group of WWE, a small group of Ring of Honor that's now seems to be coming out either on Rampage or Dynamite, or even Dark now. And then obviously, like, we're building up to Forbidden Door. You've got like New Japan stars that are, that are making a debut, finding a new audience with AEW. So yeah, it is kind of like ex-WWE or ex companies all in a group. But then in AEW recently, you are finding the magic that was in the NXT Black and Gold brands. Exciting matches, exciting storylines.
It's like Tony Khan is caught on to what Triple H was doing back there. If that makes sense, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like for every main WWE star that they pulled in. So you saw someone like Miro come in. Then they pulled in like a young star in an NXT Gold brand. So it's like, okay, I see where you're going here. And then they had CM Punk come in, so an old big name from WWE. And then you're starting to see people like Keith Lee come in from the black and gold brand. So it's like, all right, so it's becoming like a mixture. Would you say, is that good or bad?
I think it's quite a good mixture, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, he's used the WWE releases from NXT, mainly from NXT at the moment. He's had a couple from the main roster, and then to start off with, the legends that were under contract with WWE, i.e. Big Show just did that stupid comedy stuff that here and there, and Christian has now got a more regular schedule, which is what he wanted in WWE. But as we all know with WWE, when WWE legends get to a certain age, like
the part-time one, yeah. I know what you mean.
Between 35 and 38.
Yeah.
They go, we don't want you to do this schedule anymore. But look at AJ Styles, for example. He's like 39, 40.
And he's still he's still on it.
Still on the full-time schedule. And like he said, or Orton before he got injured, he said he wants a full-time schedule and then retire at 50. If they can still do that, in the 40s, and Christian's doing what he's doing now, week in, week out, why can't anyone else?
If there's anyone else from the black and gold brand to springboard over to AEW, who would you like to see come out of that old roster?
Good question. Well, you got people like probably Johnny Gargano, and it's still floating about. Champion's not really been used much since he's been called up. Can't really think of anything much more really that used to be in the black and gold brand. Because most of them have been signed up now.
Signed up, yeah. Are we gonna see someone like Dakota Kai move over?
I don't know. It's like you've got to think of like with the storylines. It's like with the women's division, you could sometimes you got to think, well, where can I fit her into the women's division? Because I've already got that kind of character. Sometimes you do have to say no, because I can't really find your range of wrestling in the division at the moment.
If these two stars feel that they've been underused, I'm going to name them Gunther and Pete Dunne. Well, I don't want to call him by his other name because I just think it's you get the jazz, don't you?
Yeah.
But anyway, if Gunther and whatever Pete Dunne feel that they're being underused, would you like to see him on AEW?
seen Walter, whatever you want to call him, versus Wardlow. I think that would be a right good old battle.
As the old body size or how he is now?
I would say the old body size. That's what people love and known for, really. But if he's happy with his shape and he's agreed to it, then fair play. Fair play to the bloke.
Is there a way forward for Karrion Kross?
I just think he'll be happy doing. He's in the events for until he's ready. Until he's ready and building. I reckon he just build his stuff back up again. He'll say, "Listen, I've been in WWE. I took a step back. I think I'll go in the indies, maybe reinvent a new character, and try again somewhere. Might not try WWE again, but like Scott said, he might be on good terms of Impact again and gets the deal that he wants."
Back to the Vince McMahon situation that we talked about for a good half an hour the other day.
Yeah.
I read something else this morning. I don't know if you read it because you're hot onto your news and your updates and you're always reading everything regarding wrestling. Whether it's Impact, Ring of Honor, new NJPW, AEW, WWE, NXT. You're hot on it. Probably you've picked up this rumour, speculation, whatever, but I came across an article and I came across it on YouTube as well, saying that Vince McMahon might be coming out doing his Raw and SmackDown introducing as what he did on Raw last week, SmackDown last week. Would you like to see him do that as an opener every week?
No, because I think it'd just be. I just think he's just trolling the fans.
Yeah.
Fans will get really annoyed very quickly, and then you'll wonder why. Fans don't like the products, and he'll just come across as really cheesy or cringe.
If it's true, is he playing mind games with that woman that they're investigating?
The way he puts himself across at the moment, I think he's like, what's the word? Like arrogant. He knows no one can touch him. If you know what I'm saying.
If you watch briefly when it came out on Raw, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a short moment where the music came on. He's halfway down the ramp, and it comes out like the music. You got no chance, whatever. But anyway, he's walking down the ramp. Halfway down the ramp, the music's just literally saying, "You got no chance." But literally, as it says, "No chance," he's just literally doing that pointing thing. He does like a free move with his finger, and he's pointing up to the air, saying, "You've got no chance." Is that a psychological dig to the woman, saying that she's got no chance? Or is that playing mind games with the boardroom? Have they got no chance of getting rid of him as CEO?
I would say it could be maybe both of them things, really. Is he basically saying, you know who I am, I'm Vince McMahon, I'm a multi-billionaire. It's like you say, the words "no chance," them words are basically him saying that, like I say, you got no chance in hell of taking the business away from me. I'm a multi-millionaire. You can take me to court. You'll get laughed out of court because I've got the millions and millions of dollars behind me. Whatever I do, it'll just get laughed at and trolled by him or playing mind games because of who and what he is.
I'll tell you what, Matt, thank you for appearing on this show, and it's a pleasure to always have you and Scott on here, and incredible. We've touched a lot of topics today, and I appreciate it, and I hope we can come on again next week on HardTalk and WWE Failed.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll let you catch on and enjoy the rest of your evening, mate.
And you, mate.
I'll see you later.